ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्वोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ Verse 284 पूर्णे बोधे तदन्यौ द्वौ प्रतिबद्धौ यदा तदा मोक्षो विनिश्चितः किन्तु दृष्टदुःखं न नश्यति. So Vidyaranya pointed out that if a person gains self-knowledge properly, well, with the help of this Upanishad Pramanam, then very knowledge instantly gives a moksha. Because in wake of this knowledge, you will understand that you are free and you will be free. I am ever free. That is what the discovery. Knowledge means this discovery that I am ever free. And so I can't even say that now I became liberated. I became liberated means still the knowledge is not there. Discovery is not complete. You discover that you are ever free. Nitya Mukta Atma. So I am ever liberated, that is the knowledge. And and there is nothing other than me, and therefore so-called mind, this is all empirical reality, all various names and forms, etc. They are all mithya. I'm different from the mind, not even a possessor of the mind, etc., etc., because I am asangaha, and there is nothing other than me, and therefore, basically, I am not connected to the mind, etc. Like I am like a akasha, yathakasha sthito nityam, vayu sarvatra gomahan. Bhagavan also gave this example. Just to indicate, akasha example is always given for Atma in order to understand the all-pervasiveness, also asangatvam of Atma. Just as akasha is there, and varieties of the objects with a lot of attributes, good or bad attributes, whatever, they are all accommodated in akasha, they do all their activities in akasha, but akasha remains asangam. Same way all these names and forms, all the three bodies rather, physical body, mind, senses, everything, with their own attributes, they keep functioning. Well, but I am unconnected to this mind, etc. So I am not the mind, I am not the possessor of the mind, I am not related to the mind, because there is nothing to relate to. Other than me, there is nothing. And therefore but mind is there. It's a mithya, let us say. If you say mind is there, we will tell the status of its reality. If you say Brahman alone is there, we will not have to talk about the status of a reality of anatma. Well, everything is Atma ultimately. And therefore, if you say no, there is something called Anatma, then we will talk about the status of its reality. If you don't talk about Anatma and you say everything is Atma, we have nothing to say. Anyway, so I am not related to the mind. So, my liberation has nothing to do with the conditions of the mind. So, this is a conviction I get through the knowledge. If I study Vedanta properly from a proper teacher, etc., you will come to know this. You get this knowledge. And then so-called anatma, becomes the property of a, they become, all this so-called anatma, etc., they become a property of the Lord. So mind is a property of the Lord. Lord is the owner. With its Maya, well, definitely all these various names and forms, Anatma Prapancha is manifested. Lord is a owner of everything. And well, I become a trustee of the mind. He is a owner of the mind, but it is his property. So that is how, well, when Jnani definitely understands he is Brahman, but when Jnani functions, he has a, well, a Ishwar Buddhi in everything, including Ahankara also. He has a Ishwar Buddhi, that all this is a manifestation. Mind is a manifestation of Ishvara, and even the Ahankara also is a manifestation of Ishvara, and the outside Jagat also is a manifestation of Ishvara. So when he functions, he has a Ishvara Buddhi. And when definitely, in his true sense, he knows that he is Brahman. There is no difference between, there is no distance between me and the Ishvara as such. And well, so this is how he functions. So Ishvara is the owner, and well, he says, I am a trustee of the mind. And certainly I am willing to take care of, definitely, I am willing to take care of this mind, basically. With the help of mind only, you have to take care of the mind. Maintain this mental health. We have to maintain. So I can choose to improve the mind as a Jnani. For why should you improve? If it is mithya, why should you improve? You said ultimately it is mithya. It's just a very, for the namesake it is there. Nama matra, nama deyam. Therefore, where is a question of improving? Once it has turned to mithya, let it be as it is. That's correct. But basically what happens is, you can still choose to improve the mind for convenience of setup. So unhealthy mind disturbs the setup. Like unhealthy body is a burden to others, unhealthy mind, even though Jnani is unhealthy mind, well, may become burden to others. And therefore, so it doesn't affect his own liberation. He knows that this is mithya, etc. And well, still Jnani considers a setup, and well, then so he definitely tries to keep the mind also healthy, like the body. If body is becomes unhealthy, becomes burden to others. Same way, even mind also is unhealthy, becomes burden to others. And therefore, for the sake of that setup, and in fact, it is a part of Lok Sangraha also. What happens is, they don't know that you know that you are Brahman. But the way you respond in the world, from there they judge. And therefore, if mind is unhealthy, naturally certain reactions come out. Certain, even a legitimate anger, let us say. A legitimate anger also may come out. And then they will feel that Bhagavan says, well, if you gain this knowledge, you become free from kama and krodha and everything. But this person has anger. So therefore, definitely kama also will be there. How can a krodha will be there? Obstructed kama only becomes krodha. And therefore, well, he is endowed with kama and krodha. And therefore, what is the purpose of gaining knowledge? He's studying sincerely and he is now teaching to others. But he himself is not free from this. He has not gained liberation, etc. And therefore, definitely Jnani has to improve the mind also, even though it is mithya for him. So that's called Loka Sangraha. People, because look up to you, that you are Jnani, and people look up to you because you are a teacher. So they look up to you that, well, what you are talking, that is there in your life also. In his life, it should be there. People are trying to see. And if they don't find, they will not follow you. They will give up this. People say also that devotion is this, bhakti, etc. is better, Swamiji. This gives a lot of ego problem. This gives that problem. And really speaking, kama, krodha, etc. does not go. We surrender to Ishvara. And therefore, Ishvara will take care of that. And we don't have much trust in this knowledge. So, for the sake of others, that's called Loka Sangraha, because he is a role model for others. He has to definitely improve his mind. People's vision goes up to somebody's mind, response. They don't know that for you the mind is mithya. They don't know. Still they are ajnanis. And so, like the karma, etc., the Jnani continues, right? That's what Bhagavan said, given advice in 3rd chapter to Jnani, that like me, you also continue the functioning in the world. If you give up the karma, the Ajnanis, for them it is actually it's a tool, it's an instrument to gain a purification, etc. They also will give up the karma. See, if you give up the karma. And therefore, lokasangraha mevapi sampashyan kartum arhasi. Kartum arhasi. So basically, it is desirable that you keep acting, even though for you to everything is mithya, kartrutam is mithya, etc. Same way, mind also he should try. To make it healthy, and it is very easy for him to make. Anyway, so for that, so Gnani has a project of maintaining the health without connecting to the moksha. He does not connect. Ajnanis connect moksha with the condition of the mind. They always say like that. If mind has this is ideal condition, then there is moksha. It is not like that actually. We know very much it is ultimately, it belongs to anatma only. Anyway, so for improvement of mind, three factors have been shown. Vairagya and Vairagyam, Bodha and Uparama. Uparama means a calmness. Bodha means a jnanam, knowledge. And of these three, Vairagya and Uparama directly helps in health of the mind. Directly. And whereas this jnanam helps in an indirect way. Because when I have a knowledge, I approach my mental problem objectively. So very objectivity helps in treating the mind better. Wherever there is objectivity, the functioning is better. Even treating a patient by a doctor might have done several operations of this kind, suppose a particular kind. Several operations he might have done. But when it comes to doing operation on his own son, he may not be able to perform effectively. Even though he was a successful surgeon, he is a successful surgeon. Still, when the same operation has to be done on his son, he will not be able to function. So, if subjectivity comes, functioning becomes very, very hampered. So, objectivity helps. And he has a knowledge. The mind is an object for him. Mind is not a subject. Mind is not an atma for him. And therefore, with this knowledge, he can improve his mind better because he has objectivity. So Vidyaranya talked about these three things, and then he said, better you understand, you want to improve your mind, then these three things should be there, and these three things you should know very clearly. For that I am telling you three factors of each of them to understand them very distinctly. And so he talked about CNC, we have seen that, cause, nature and consequence of Vairagyam, CNC of Atmajnanam and CNC of Uparama also. And after that, Vidyaranya said in verse 282 that there are very few seekers who have got all the three in a very high measure. Dispassion also high measure, knowledge also complete clarity, and Uparama, calmness also in a total measure. That is very, very rare. So, in all the three you have A plus grade. It's very rare. So, somewhere you will be having a little less. So, A plus, and other two has a B plus, etc. So, there are gradations. So, Vidyaranya says, because of how come there is a A plus in all, A plus grade. I don't know in America what is a A plus grade, because may not be the highest one, but I'm considering that the A plus is considered highest. I'm taking that way. Anyway, so Vairagya also A plus, Uparama A plus, Jnanam A plus. That is very rare. He says, Trayaha api atyantaha pakwaha chet. Trayaha, all these three, detachment, knowledge and calmness of the mind, pakwaha, mature, means full, they are in a full measure. That is very, very definitely rare, and that is due to mahatah tapasa phalam. That is due to this karma yoga, upasana, etc. That kind of a tapas. Due to this great tapas, the person may have all the three in a full measure. Otherwise, in others cases, out of the three, duritena, people who have got a lesser extent of one or two, etc. because of a durita means a prarabdha, and prarabdha with a pratibandha. Prarabdha in the form of a pratibandha is called durita. Obstacle. That's prarabdha only of my own past karmas. So due to that, in all the three will not have a plus in gradation. Something will be less or and something will be more, like that. So he says kvachit, kadachit, and kvachit, kinchit, kadachit, pratibadhyate, duritena. Due to this prarabdha, due to the obstruction, this kvachit, in certain occasion, kadachit at certain time, and kinchit, out of these three something, one or two, well, pratibadhyate, they are obstructed, duritena, because of a prarabdha, etc. So this is what he said in 282. And then in verse 283, and now he extends 283 and 284, well, talks about other cases. He is talking about a mind which is not healthy due to these factors, but they are in plus or minus, right? And so mind may be unhealthy, but someone is very serious, or someone is less serious, something a light illness, like that kind of a thing. So 282 is that verse 282 describes a different people with a different obstruction, etc. Here there he talked about all the three in a full measure also. Now in these two shlokas, well, definitely who has got obstruction in some of them. So here in verse 283 he talks about people who are having two in a full measure. What? Well, vairagyam is full. Total vairagyam is there. Because he has a dosha drishti, everything, and so he has developed a vairagyam for everything. And he has a uparama, calmness due to Ashtanga yoga practice, etc. Well, he has a mental poise also. So these two are there, but jnanam is not there. then mind will not be healthy, right? And so basically, so he says vairagya uparati purne. Vairagya and uparati means uparama, purne. They are in a full measure. Bodhastu pratibadhyate. But the jnanam is not there. Jnanam is obstructed somehow. So he has exposed to the teaching and everything, but he could not gain jnanam, even though these two are there. Then we should consider that there is some obstruction. So that is this kind of a case he is talking about here. So even he listens to Aham Brahmasmi, etc. He is not able to understand it, really speaking. So some person told me that Swamiji, one teacher, he says, people understand in a class, but people still don't know the thing. People understand the Atma in a class, but people don't know Atma at all. Because knowing Atma means you will not take yourself to be other than Brahman. That is the knowledge. So he says very beautifully that people understand Atma. So when class is going on, any class, Brahma Sutra or any kind of a thing, well, any class, Pancadasi or anything, Naishkarma Siddhi, you understand Atma. Not I'm just saying. So people understand Atma, but still people don't know Atma. That is how the thing is. It's a very serious thing, right? So because qualifications, we generally say qualifications are not in full measure. But sometimes it happens that qualifications are there. Looks like that he's not interested in any other thing. And he has a certain calmness also. But still somehow Aham Brahmasmi, that doesn't click to him. That yes, I am Brahman. That doesn't click to him. Aham means Atma, etc. Brahman means this Satchidananda, etc. Satyam Jnanam. Everything he understands in a class. But still, he is not able to say that I am Brahman. So that is some obstruction, we say. Some obstruction is there. So that kind of a case he is talking about. Perhaps due to lack of sadhana chatushtaya. But he is giving an example of having a sadhana chatushtaya and still not having a knowledge is something really, there is some pratibandha, some papam will be there. So definitely such a kind of a case has been talked about here. So so that is what he says here. So moksha nasti. Yes, for such a person, moksha nasti. Well, there will not be a moksha, but nothing to worry about, nothing goes waste. He will be reborn with this same uparama and vairagya, etc. And now that pratibandha has gone, which is due to prarabdha, but that prarabdha has been exhausted. Now he has taken a rebirth. And therefore, Well, he will go to some Punyaloka. So, Tapobalat Punyaloka. Here, tapas means all this. Shravanam, Mananam, etc. is considered tapas. Karma Yoga is tapas. He has done all this, right? He has done Viveka, also is tapas. I have told you, tapas means following any religious or spiritual discipline, which is another meaning of a tapas. One meaning of tapas I have already told you is a willful self-denial. So, well, that is called tapas, or tapas, that's a primary meaning. But the other meaning is this, and that is secondary meaning is this, that following a certain religious discipline, or even a spiritual discipline like Shravanam, etc. So, well, due to this tapobalam, well, he will go to Punyaloka. That's what Bhagavan also says. All these people who are listening to this Vedanta, he says in 18th chapter that, well, they will definitely gain a very good loka. And then they return, and then when they return, Ishvara does an arrangement that he will be born in a certain place where he can progress further and gain knowledge and moksha. So this is all Ishvara's arrangement. We have to accept it as it is. So in chapter 6, you know very well, Prapya Punya Kritan Lokan, etc. In the last few verses of the chapter 6 in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan gives this assurance to Arjuna, because Arjuna asked, suppose I'm striving for this knowledge, and well, I'm doing karma yoga and everything, and suppose I did not get knowledge and my prarabdha got over, what will happen? What will happen to my this sadhan chatusha sampatti? What happens to my this knowledge, whatever I have gained? What happens to that? Then Bhagavan said that well, your journey continues, etc. So that's what here Vidyaranya also says. He will definitely gain Punyaloka, etc. And then he returns and continues. Okay, so there is another case. Now he will show some another case also. Now this was a case, let me remind you, this is a case where out of the three, person has a Vairagyam and Uparama. Calmness of the mind also is there, and Vairagyam also, etc. is there. Now he will show a case in which, well, Jnanam is there, but the other two are in a less measure, etc. Now he will show that. Purne bodhe tadanyau dvau pratibaddhau yada tada moksho vinishchitah kintu drashta dukkham na nashyati. Anyway, we read that. So he takes now another example. Well, Jnanam is there, very clear. It is not obstructed. Bodhe Purne Sati, it's a Sati Saptami. When in such a case, well, Bodhe Purne, Bodha Jnanam, Atma Jnanam, Purna means clear. Purna Jnanam means nothing but a aparoksha Jnanam. They call Atma Sakshatkara, they call anything. So, aparoksha Jnanam, Vastu is aparoksha, and you know that Vastu as aparoksha. Aparoksha means as yourself. That's all. Aparoksha Jnanam here is that you know what has been described about Paramatma in the Shastra as yourself, clearly. That's all. Whatever is told about Brahman, etc. In the Shastra is none other than myself. In that there is no ambiguity. Then we say Purnaha Bodha. So Bodhe Purne Sati. Well, and so means I am not related to mind, everything he knows very clearly. Anyau Dvau, other two, Uparama and Vairagyam. Well, they are Anyau Dvau Pratibaddhau Yada Tada. So, well, the other two are obstructed, deficient. So, now the question will arise. Swamiji, if Vairagyam and Uparama is not there, means Sadhan Chatushta Sampatti is not there, how come he gained the knowledge? You will have that question, I know very well. But we should understand that it was there in a sufficient measure as to gain knowledge. Like I will give you an example. Like you appear for an exam. At least you got marks to pass, passing marks. That much. So you have passed. Your Ajnanam has gone. But to get a topper's position, etc., well, you don't have enough marks. So that kind of a thing. So that is how we all the time say Forget about an ideal condition of the mind where raga dveshas are totally gone. Totally, it will not be. It is not possible. You will have a sufficient measure, and then you definitely understand the mithyatvam. You gain knowledge. That is actually happening, and therefore, you are deficient in vairagyam, and certain ragadveshas are there, and due to certain, other uparama also may not be in a proper, in a proper, uh, let us say, not proper form, but in a proper measure. It is not there. So yada tada anyau dvau pratibaddhau. So it is sufficiently there to give you knowledge, but no, they are not in full measure due to some obstruction. Some obstruction is prarabdha obstruction, basically. So, so Jnani has got a deficiency, and but he has got enough vairagyam and uparama sufficient to get knowledge. Anyway, so yada, suppose moksha vinishchitah, moksha is definite because he has gained knowledge. So, but then, so he knows he's a nitya mukta atma, etc. Kintu, but just as unhealthy body like gives this problem for a jnani, similarly, this unhealthy mind with these two in a deficient measure, vairagya and uparama in a deficient measure, gives problem. Because the mind is still not completely healthy. Completely healthy means all the three are in a full measure. So Jnanam is in full measure, but the other two are not in full measure. So Jnani is such a mind, unhealthy mind, gives him problem. They use a very particular word for this called drashta dukkham. Drashta dukkham means disturbances in the mind because of the deficiency of other two. But then why you call drashta dukkham? Because for him it is drashtam. For Jnani it is drashtam. For Jnani it is not a drashta. This dukkham of the mind is not in a drashta. It is drashtam. Therefore, this is a proper, Acharya has coined a particular word for this. So, such a disturbance is not in the self. Disturbance is in the mind because of the deficiency of the other two. So, and this difference of Jnanam is very clear to him, but disturbance of the mind, is treated as at a mental level. So I am ever free. Jnani can choose to connect to this health problems objectively. So the problems which are in the mind, problems not in myself. Jnani does not say these are the problems in myself. I have less vairagya. I am very much agitated. He won't say. And even if he says, he has already, that is a drashtam for him. And therefore, Jnani objectively then improves the mind. So disturbed mind will disturb the setup, he knows very well. And therefore, he accepts Bhagavan's Agnya, of a Loka Sangraha, and he adjusts his mind. He makes it a little more healthy. And we should know very well, there is no perfect physical health. First thing, there is no perfect physical health. Even the most fit person in this world also will have certain issues. So there is no perfect physical health. Same way there is no perfect mental health also. But he improves. He understands everything. These all facts he knows, and he improves to the extent that it will not disturb the external setup. That's all. To that extent he improves. He has not that kind of a thing. Let me make my mind ideal, free from everything or any kind of a defect. Everything should be in a full measure. Full measure means, like A grade, everything, A plus, A plus, A plus, A plus, and or 100 out of 100, like that. No. He improves. And that is how we say like that. The frequency, intensity, etc. will be and the recovery, etc. of the reactions will be very, 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 very less. Recovery is faster of any reaction. And I will tell you, there is some legitimate anger, etc. I will talk about it a little later. There is a legitimate anger also. Very legitimate anger? Yeah, legitimate anger is there. Even he should be free from that, and he will work for that also. Anyway, but any kind of anger, even legitimate anger, is seen by the disciples around. People will not accept. They will not accept. Because kama esha, krodha esha, rajoguna samudbhava, mahashano, mahapapma, vidyena mahi iha vairinam, kama krodhas tatha lobha, etat trayam tyajet. And therefore, any kind of anger, even for a legitimate purpose also, even for a dharma, is not allowed. And suppose, so such a thing will be there perhaps in a jnani's mind. Why perhaps? It is there. It is there. And well, he should be free from that. So he has to work. He has to really work so that it won't disturb the setup. Or it is a part of a loka sangraha. So, drashta dukkham, as I told you, is an idiom used in the Shastra. So, I told you for the definition is, drashta dukkham is a name for a mental disturbance of a jnani, which jnani observes objectively without identification. That's called drashta dukkham. Clear? Drashta dukkham means a jnani observes objectively a certain problems of a mind without identifying it. That's called drashta dukkham. And therefore he objectively addresses that problem also. So it is not known by others. And because already it's not like exact like Ajnani. He for everything he gets irritated. It is not like that. If for everything if you get irritated, the jnanam itself is in a really doubtful thing. Anyway, but so he knows very well. He's so sensitive. He knows his reaction because he could see, right? He could see. He has not identified with the mind, so he could see the condition of the mind very perfectly. And so his reactions also in a certain situation, he knows very well that this is a reaction. And this reaction should not be shown to others. Because otherwise, people will lose the faith and everything in the jnanam itself. Maybe in person, if you lose, it's one thing. You lose a faith in the jnanam. This jnanam is not effective because it cannot make you free from the anger or lust or whatever. So, but he knows. Even the reactions are occurring in his mind. He knows and he takes it that this reaction I have to modify. This should not be there. This should not be there. In this way, he objectively basically improves his mind. So drashta dukkham nanashyati. For such a jnani who has knowledge in full measure, but other two are obstructed, and he is deficient in the other two, uparama and vairagyam. Well, for him, this drashta dukkham will be there. Mind, certain unhealthy issues of the mind will be there. So that kind of a pain in the mind will be there. Nanashyati means that won't go away. Even though his ignorance has destroyed, right? Ajnanam nashyati and adhyasam nashyati. Everything, the adhyasa also is gone. All the brahmas, etc. has gone. Or let us say our granthi, hridaya granthi has gone. Still, mind is unhealthy, will give him a pain. Objectively, he understands that. Like physical body also gives pain, right, to a jnani. At a physical level, Same way, mind also, unhealthy mind also can give pain. So this is called drashta dukkham. And so he improves upon it. 285. Brahmaloka trunikarah vairagyasavadhirmatah dehatmavat paratmatva dardhye bodhas samapyate. So in the previous verse, Vidyaranya talked about these three things. And also talked a gradation about all the three. Now a question has arisen. So you are showing plus and minus etc. Then what is the highest mark we can get in this? If you want to get 25 out of 25 or 100 out of 100, I'm sorry. Then suppose if we want to get. So what is that limit? Then we can say, yeah, I have got in Vairagyam 100 out of 100. And so in Bodha, I have got 100 out of 100. In Uparama, I have got 100 out of 100. So we want to know that Avadhi. We want to know the maximum in this, all the three. If suppose somebody asks this question, then he tells now, Brahmalokaha trunikarah Vairagyasya avadhihi. Mataha means it is known that Brahmalokaha trunikarah, everything including Brahmaloka should appear to you as a dry blade of grass, means valueless. Trunikarah. So, Trunam Bhavati. Trunam Karoti. Bhashyakara. Bhashyam karoti iti bhashyakara. This is Trunikara. Actually, little other thing is there. Truni it is there. So that is Atrunam Trunam Bhavati, etc. But that we will not worry about. But this Truni Karoti iti Trunikara. This person has made this Brahmaloka as a dry blade of grass. Means he has made the Brahmaloka also as a valueless. Mithya. So, Shankaracharya ji talks about in Aparoksha Anubhuti as a Kakavishta, dropping of the crow, etc. So, will anyone has that attachment for that? No. And same way, total detachment will be there. Same way, the one who has got a 100 marks in a Vairagya will make this Brahmaloka also as like this Kakavishta or like a dry blade of grass. So, there's, a total detachment to an entire Anatma Prapancha. That kind of a thing. It's an ideal condition. We should not worry about. Swamiji, when will I somebody says, Swamiji, what about Brahmaloka? In certain things in my home itself, I am so much attached. But one thing is there for Jnani also as an attachment. Generally, it should not be there. Even for that also. But generally, Jnani keeps sometime that attachment. And that is Dharma. And for Dharma's sake, sometime he gets angry also. Right? Because he has an attachment for Dharma and he wants that Dharma should be prevailed. It should be there in the society, etc. And he doesn't see. He doesn't see in the society where this knowledge is there. This Dharma Shastra, everything is there of since ages. In such a Indian society itself, Dharma has totally come to the extinction. So therefore, he has that attachment for the Dharma, and so he becomes angry because his desire for that he wants to see Dharma everywhere, and it is not fulfilled. So definitely, obstructed desire, obstructed attachment, definitely gets anger. So and he gets angry. Naturally, such a mind which gets angry is not a healthy mind. So Jnani's mind also can be unhealthy. Anyway, so here, attachment towards everything should go. So if Jnani has an attachment for Dharma also, still he gets a less marks in a Vairagyam. So 60 out of 100 or 50 out of 100 or something like that. 65 or so, whatever we have to say. Somebody, who are you to give? I can't give to Jnani, but I'm just saying like that. And I have seen several people, the Jnanis, they get some, especially such issues, right? Or even Vedanta issue also. People should gain this knowledge in order to become free. Why should they suffer? And they become so excited. And, so that shows an attachment towards even Jnanam, etc. Now, he should not be having attachment for Jnanam also, really speaking. He has no attachment for Shastra also. This is ideal condition. Don't think too much about. So, ideal condition. So, they call Shastra Vasana. So, still, why should you study Shastra? It's over. Shastra has done the job. When Pramana does a job, drop the Pramana then. Pramana should give you a knowledge. Then there is no use of Pramana. It's a sadhanam, right? And therefore, it should be dropped. But, some people are so attached to Shastra and then talk about also, and somebody talks against Vedanta, etc. And then they all. So, all this should not be there. Then Vairagya, we should say it is in a very full measure. So, total detachment here is expected. Avadhi means detachment for everything, we should say. So, Brahmaloka Trunikaraha Vairagyasya Avadhihi. That's a maximum, So, here Avadhi, detachment does not mean a insult of anything. Sometimes it happens that, to show the detachment, you insult something. No, that's also not correct. Very healthy. Vairagya we have talked about very much. It's a very healthy attitude. He has, in his mind there is no vikara for this. There is no any kind of a, modification. Even if it is there or if it is not there. If Dharma is there, he does not get elated. If Dharma is not there in his own students, suppose, Where is the question of jnanam? Sometimes dharma itself is not there. And he sees that also. But he does not feel any kind of depressed or something. So no elation, no sorrow, nothing. Then we can say, well, the mind is very healthy. Otherwise, if he sees the absence of a dharma, etc., even after talking about a dharma is a manifestation of Ishvara, and therefore, well, one should have a dharma in one's life, and then you will have a self-acceptance, and then you will be able to understand the self is limitless, etc., etc. Everything he knows very clearly. But if he doesn't see in a student even after teaching, then he does not get disturbed. Then we say Vairagya is in a very good measure. His mind is really healthy, we should say. Anyway, so here now he says, about Vairagya he said in the first line. Now, in the second line he says, Dehatmavat paratmatva dardhye bodha samapyate. For bodha, knowledge also there is avati. You can say 100 out of 100. Deha atmavat paratmatva dardhyam. This is possible. Dardhyam means firmness. Firmness is in what? Paratmatva dardhyam. Paratma. Paratma, Paramatma. Brahman. So, Brahmatva dardhyam. So, firmness in this knowledge. What? I am Brahman. Right? Firmness in the knowledge I am Brahman. Well, in short, I am Brahman. Well, it is clear to him. It is natural to him. Like what? He says, Deha Atmavat. Like the person, Ajnanis, very naturally say, I am Ahankara or I am body. Right? He says. Same way this Jnani, when he says very naturally that I am Brahman, then we should say that is the culmination, avadhi, of the knowledge. This is what he says here. So, and after saying that, well, again, he identifies with Ahankara. Definitely, he has to identify. So, suppose then, because Atma or Brahman is free from Ashanaya, Pipasa, Rahita, so free from hunger and thirst. But now he goes to dining hall and eating. And then, well, definitely he can't say that, well, so he says, well, I'm eating food right now, I will meet you later. And well, I'm thirsty, give me some water. So you are Brahman, you are free from Ashanaya, Pipasa. You cannot say like that. You are Brahman and you are free from hunger and thirst. And therefore you don't ask water for now onwards. Don't ask food. That kind of a thing. And Ahankara, he easily identifies with Ahankara. Deliberately. Please understand. Exactly like a hero identifies with a role. Very deliberate. So during the day, otherwise Jivan Mukti is not possible. If Ahankara is not there, Jivan Mukti is not possible. Think of it. So Jivan Mukti means he is enjoying. He is enjoying the association with the people and enjoying food and enjoying everything. And he may travel also. Suppose he is traveling in, the example I am giving you. He is traveling in a train. In India, they give a concession, 50% concession in a ticket, train tickets, for senior citizens. And but you have to keep a proof, Aadhaar card, etc. You have to keep to show the proof that I am senior citizen, 65 and above. And so this person, Jnani, is traveling and in a train. And he has got a senior citizen ticket, 50% discount, and traveling between Chennai and Delhi, suppose. And then a ticket checker comes and then he shows the ticket. And then he says, well, show me your proof for that you are senior citizen. At that time, he can't say, I am ageless. Oh, I am Brahman. And therefore, I am Anadi. That ticket checker can very well tell, if he knows, that you need not travel also because you are all pervasive also. It's a foolishness. People say that he has no I thought, etc. This is not. He will understand it with this I thought only, everything, and he will use I thought in empirical reality because it's an empirical reality. Mind is empirical reality, body is empirical reality, Ahankara is empirical reality, all Ishvara Srushti, basically. It's all Ishvara Srushti. That's what I'm saying. When he does a Vyavahara, it is all Ishvara Srushti. But in reality, he knows I am Brahman, there is nothing other than me. This is all is Mithya. Ishvara also is Mithya. Why not? Myself and Ishvara, there are no two entities. There is one entity called Brahman. That's very clear in his mind. While functioning, Well, this kind of, functioning is possible at Ahankara level. Vyavara is possible at Ahankara level because Atma is avyavaryam. So, there is a question of all pervasive doing any kind of Vyavara. And therefore, then that's how Jivan Mukti is. He does all kinds of Vyavara in this Mithya world. And we are going to see in the next verse that in his mind nothing sticks. Nothing sticks. Like a deep sleep state. He's going to talk about it. Very beautiful. Nothing sticks. He does all Vyavara with a freedom. Out of happiness he does. That's how is all Vyavara manifest only fullness. Only fullness. There is a love and compassion. All out of fullness is possible. If a person is lacking within, he will not have a compassion to a great degree. But this person's all acts are out of fullness, and therefore love and this compassion, etc., is, and the welfare of the others, and that's just spontaneous for him. This is at the level of Ahankara only. At the level of Ahankara, he knows that he is Brahman, and still Ahankara is there, Ishvara Sushti is there, body is there, mind is there, I thought is there. So he identifies with the I thought deliberately and does Vyavara. He says, I am a eater right now, or a drinker, or whatever, or I am walker, talker, etc. I am a teacher, whatever role. He assumes all the role and does the function. So anyway, so this is how he says here, Dehatmat Paratmatva Dadhye Bodha Samapyate. This is the Bodha he has, that it is very natural to him to understand that I am Brahman. Very effortlessly he says I am Brahman. Just as a Ajnani says effortlessly, I am Deha. So this is how we have to understand this. Now in Uparama, very beautifully, this is the brilliance of Vidyaranya. He defines what is the avadhi of Uparama, and this is possible. How mental calmness is total. He talks about it. We'll see it in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.